All right. Salam alaikum. Welcome back to another daily updates video. Today we have a special guest. Munir is busy with helping with ops and dispatch due to some vacations we have. And we wanted to use this opportunity to reintroduce a returning member of BHX, Alen Kajtezovic. Without further ado, we'll have Alen give a quick introduction, and then we'll dive into the normal daily update stuff.
Yes, salam alaikum and good morning, everybody. All the drivers that I remember me from before and all the new ones. I look forward to meeting you and re-meeting you and, discussing
And then we'll dive into the
how life
normal
has
daily
been.
update
It's been a
stuff.
couple of years now, right? I think, yes, salam alaikum and good morning. So it's amazing to be back. I can say that this company has made light years of improvement since I left just under 2 years ago, which is not that much time. One thing about this company is, if I had to define it in one word, it's constant improvement, continuous improvement at every level, starting from up top down to the most finite processes. So that's something that, as a driver on the road, you might not see all the behind the scenes improvement and discussions and things being fixed and updated. But that's something that trickles down to you in the form of more efficient dispatch teams, more efficient bidding, our communication and competition with getting the loads from the brokers, and our communication and relationship building with our partners, the brokers, other people in the industry, which is helping you guys all in the long run. It's helping you work for a company that's continuously getting more stable and stronger and expanding and strengthening its hold on the industry. In a time where in the last 2 years, many companies went under. I do believe, I remember we had a tough little spin during COVID, but
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the main reasons we survived that and bounced back, it seems harder and faster than ever before, is because of what I just mentioned. This mentality of continuous improvement. Um, there's a saying in Bosnian. I forgot the original Bosnian terminology, but it goes something like, as long as a person is constantly on the move, like water, he's going to be healthy and strong and fresh, like a river
I think it's a
that's constantly
Chinese
moving.
saying, or Bruce Lee saying, "Do you
Yeah,
like water?"
it's probably similar. But on the other hand, if you stay complacent in life and kind of stand still and just stay where you are, you become like a pond. And everybody knows pond turns green. The water doesn't move. There's no circulation. It's not have healthy fish that you'd want
Mm.
to eat from it. So be like a river, my friend. Be like BH Express, and just to kind of not go on that much longer. Um, it's good to be back. I'm glad to see many familiar faces, many old driver numbers that have been with the company for a long time. I'm looking forward to rekindling those relationships, and I know that yeah, it's going to be good. So that's all for me. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to do my best from my positions to help this company advance, move forward, and looking forward to talking with each and every one of you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I love that. Definitely, there's barakah, there's blessing in movement. And, we talked to our dispatch team about this. When it's a slow day, don't just wait for work to come to you. Like, if it's a slow day, it's a slow day, but find something. Go out there, find an opportunity, create, call brokers, call customers, call drivers. Don't ever just sit there, right, and kind of wait for stuff to happen. As long as you are continuing to move and try to find stuff, stuff is going to happen. So definitely complacency is not what we want. So this is a recap of yesterday. We had 66 available drivers, 45 of which were booked, 21 of which were not booked, giving us 68% fleet utilization rate. Obviously not a phenomenal number. We want to be closer to 90% plus. Um, 48 loads were booked with a 8.66 bid win ratio. So the average driver pay was $490 as well, which is a bit lower than what we've been at. Normally the average is about 6 to 700. Um, so loads wise, I mean, there was a decent amount of loads booked, but other statistics behind those and how many drivers were not booked, it wasn't as good of a day as we could have had. So we hope to bounce back. Um, we have 3 drivers in this code red. Code red is drivers whose prime idle time is greater than um, 6 hours. And prime idle time is the time between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. the drivers are spent waiting for loads, right? So obviously we work on booking everybody all day long after 6 p.m. included, but the majority of loads are going to be between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. So we count this prime idle time or PT as it's shown here. We have 3 drivers going into today, and Munir actually just informed me that we booked Daniel. So we have 2 drivers left. On the first one here, Sarab, there were 17 bids out of Minnesota, and we didn't book anything. And then Yusuf, there was just 1 bid out of Idaho. So we just actually added this bids data in here. We're gonna also by tomorrow we're gonna add how many opportunities there were. So we're gonna know, okay, there were 4 opportunities. We bid on 1 and we declined the other 3. So the driver has kind of a more clear picture on a snapshot of the day. Um, the goal every day is, top priorities to get these guys booked. Stop me if you have any questions or any observations or comments as we're going, Ellen.
Sure.
So problems, this is kind of advice or tip. What do we do when a driver becomes unresponsive on a shipment? If the driver is running late, we check his last location on milestone and report this to the customer. Then we request the local police department to perform a wellness check on the driver. This is sort of a last resort. I mean, we try any secondary phone numbers. We give the driver enough time. We give it as much time as we can afford to give it. We call any emergency numbers. We send text messages. We send emails. We send Facebook messages. Sometimes people's phones become buggy and glitchy, and the calls don't go through. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, if we're unable to reach somebody, we will do a wellness check. We have done it. Thank God. I mean, we've never had police go out and report back with any bad news or any negative news or whatever. Um, but yeah, that's sort of so drivers can understand behind the scenes what happens when we're unable to get a hold of you guys. So driver spotlight we do every day, Alan as well. We highlight one driver, either either from something they did the day before, something they did that week, or just kind of a bigger picture thing like their on-time performance. For yesterday, we're highlighting Khalil Ahmed, one of our long time drivers. Man, this
Mm-hmm.
is I mean, anytime we see a driver with double-digit numbers, you know that it's an old timer. Halil has
Mm-hmm.
been I mean, an ultimate, example of a professional, an absolute amazing human being to work with for all these years. On load, ending with 70, the shipment was heavily delayed at pickup. Once picked up, the customer requested it to be delivered direct without readjusting the delivery time. Halil, although he was tired, happily obliged, one of the most reliable and helpful drivers. Sometimes these notes don't capture all of the detail. We would only ask the driver to deliver direct if it's safe to do so, right? If it's still within his ability to do it safely. So, I'm not sure, to what extent, how long the shipment was and all of that. But, generally speaking, we would never ask a driver if he says, "Listen, I'm tired and I cannot do this." We would never ask the driver to deliver the shipment in this case.
Yeah, Khalil was one of those guys that I remember for sure from a couple of years ago. So he must have been here now for, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's been 4 years or more that he's been with the company. Yeah, one of those guys, very reliable, great attitude. Yeah, definitely anybody with that zero in front of their number, it's old timers, dedicated guys.
Yes, sir. All right, so yesterday, Haris is on vacation. We have a new king of bidding. Mohammed took the first top spot. 18 loads booked with 10.9% win ratio, 489 average driver pay. I'm not sure why it says zero on the bids. I think our reporting page was broken yesterday. Um, Omer, who's doing that hybrid role that we always mention, booked 15, and then Vedad, the night hawk, the night owl, snatched an additional 10 loads with a 72% bid follow-up ratio. Bid follow-up ratio is after we submit bids. We send a follow-up email or message to the broker or customer, kind of asking for a second time to book that load. The best load from yesterday was a Saskatoon to Wisconsin,
Wow.
1,220 miles for 925, 76 cents a mile. Considering that the load up there always pays a really good rate, when you can get a load coming back to Wisconsin or coming back to a good area from that area, that part of Canada, it's like winning the lottery. So definitely good to see this.
Hmm.
I'm sure the driver was happy.
That's a hard kind of load to book coming out of that area.
I mean,
It's
it's
awesome.
a 1 in 10 times that we go up
Right.
there that we get something back.
Yeah.
The longest load was 1242 on the mileage, $1,100. This is driver pay, of course, 90 cents a mile from Vermont to Missouri. It's a phenomenal load, man. Honestly, it's a bit under a
Hmm.
dollar a mile, but we're talking about getting from a so-so area to one of the best areas for loads, and you're still getting right about 90 cents a mile. Hell of a load as well.
Especially if that guy lives in St. Louis or anywhere around that area, that's a dream load.
Right, and the odds are he lives closer to St. Louis than he does to Vermont, so.
Right. Hmm.
The lowest rate per mile, not really something we want to celebrate, but we try to be transparent and give our drivers a holistic image, on what's happening. North Carolina, which lately has been really tough to book drivers out of, to New York. So this is right around Buffalo area, 790 miles for 540, 68 cents a mile. Our normal bidding out of North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia is right at 70 cents now. So this is just a few pennies under that. The good thing is when you get up to this Buffalo area, there's a really good chance you're going to be able to even get something out of Ontario, or you're going to be able to get something from Buffalo to Ontario. Um, there's a lot of carriers that don't go to Canada, so often they'll drop the load off in this Buffalo area, and then another carrier will need to haul it the rest of the way, which is a good way to make an additional two, three, $400 on a couple hundred miles. And that's the key. Stay busy, because if we're able to get, let's say, 200 miles from Buffalo for $400 going to Ontario or something like that, when you combine those two loads together, you're right about a dollar a mile. The drivers that are able to understand that and
Hmm.
function like that are able to stay busy, make money, and all that good stuff. The drivers that get stuck on each individual load, not wanting to budge, often end up waiting longer and making less money at the end of the week. The last one, shortest load, is 150 miles for $230, $1.50 for a mile. These loads are nice little icing on the cake. These are the dessert These are the appetizer loads. These are not your main course meal. This is not your what's it called? Entree. The highest RPM was 233 miles for $400. This is Buffalo to Ohio to Buffalo. So, this is another example of what I just said. If the other driver that finished in Buffalo gets something like this, where he's doing a 300 mile load that pays $400 or $500, you can make up for that 68 cents a mile and balance it off. Don't know where to relocate or what area is better? Ask dispatch. I've seen a lot of drivers lose a lot of times just sitting in an area, and then at the end of the day or a day or two later, they go, well, why didn't dispatch tell me X, Y, and Z? Listen, man, we do our best to reach out to drivers. We do our best to be proactive. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for what happens to you. When you finish a load, pick up the phone, call dispatch, send an email, get that information. Our dispatchers will use our dispatchers will use the tools that they have access to determine what's going to be the best area for you to relocate to. And don't lose time sitting and waiting or kind of taking a guess as to where you want to go. Use those resources you have around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, only thing I can add to that is, as you guys know by now, being in this industry, it's a lot of competition. We are in the expedite industry. Expedite means quick shipments, quick pickup, quick delivery. So sometimes it's not just about the price. It's not just about your dimensions. Sometimes it's about how close you are to pick up. Sometimes the brokers don't necessarily care for the cheapest price.
Mm-hmm.
They are sometimes just in a hurry to get it picked up. So with that said, you being 10 miles from pickup versus 50 or 100 miles from pickup could be the deal breaker for you. So if you're out there in the middle of Texas, middle of Nevada, it usually pays off to move to the closest bigger city, but don't always just use your judgment. As Aldine said, ask dispatch. Not every big city on Google Maps is worth going for loads.
Emir K left a message on the chat, said welcome back, Zette. Nemoj više
Oh,
ići
Emir,
nigdje. Tu je najbolje, vjeruj mi, selam.
Emir, do some. Fala, Emir. Thank you. Emir is one of those guys. He is one of the guys that is the backbone of this company. Fala,
Absolutely,
Emir.
man.
Salam alaikum.
Absolutely. So yesterday we had 79 total stops, and 4 of those were late due to a invalid or unjustified reason. Invalid or unjustified is things like driver oversleeping or just not planning the route properly. Valid reasons are driver, getting stuck in traffic or things like that and communicating it back to us. Our goal, our target is 98%. It's always hard to measure this on a daily basis because one late arrival makes a 2-3% shift in the numbers. So to the 75 arrivals that we had on time, great job, everybody. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for communicating back to us when there are delays. Thank you for taking pride in being on time. To the 4 late arrivals, just understand, guys, that customers look at reliability as the baseline for everything. Our prices are always higher than what our competitors are bidding. We are never the cheapest price. Never, ever, ever, right? Because there's companies out there willing to drive for 50 cents a mile, 60 cents every single load. What enables us to get those better rates is the fact that we are a reliable carrier. Customers trust that we're going to be on time. So, continue to prioritize that. Leave early, plan to be there early, communicate if there's any delays. Daily quote by JP. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. What do you think about this?
That's very important. I think ultimately everybody figures that out in life as they're older. When you're young, it's hard to see this. But yeah, everybody figures it out at some point, some later than others.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of glamorization of people and their status and their success and who they are and who they were, and it's easy to get lost in that, comparing your little wins with somebody else's big wins. But at the end of the day, man, if you can be better today than you were yesterday, if you can be better this year than you were last year, then you are on the right path. You're on the right trajectory. I love it. I agree with it.
It reminds me of a quick quote. It says, in my 20s, I cared a lot about what people thought about me. In my 30s, I started not to care as much. And in my 40s, I realized they never really cared.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So, which city is known as the hub of America and is famous for its logistics and transportation industry? Alene.
Hmm. That's a good one. The hub of America known for logistics and transportation industries. Gosh, Laredo's ringing a bell, but then I'm thinking of something on the East Coast.
Ah,
Chicago.
I let
Wow.
the cat out of the bag too early. Chicago, Illinois. Let's see if there's an explanation for that.
Wow.
There isn't. Kind of wish there was. Um, there you go. Next time, drivers, if you find yourself on one of those Who Wants to Be a Millionaire shows, and the question is which city is the hub of America, go with Chicago. You might be right. Or phone a friend. All right, man. We'll
Phone up.
uh we'll end there. We'll be back tomorrow with another daily update video. Alan, welcome back. Look forward to the growth we're gonna have, inshallah. And to our drivers, stay safe. We're gonna do our best to get everybody booked on your favorite load.